Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and shockingly enough, I'm still alive. I will say, between the battle of me and the dead tree that needs to go down in my backyard, it's a tie so far. And I think I'm still bleeding on my keyboard, but that's not going to stop me from covering the Lord of the Rings spoilers. Let's go. Just because this set's so big, and I mean pretty much it's a Horizon set, which means it's a straight to modern set, of primarily or almost entirely new cards. I'm going to skip a lot of the uncommons and commons because they're just for draft purposes. So first up we got Moria Marauder. It's a 2-cost double red 1/1 goblin warrior with double strike, nice. And whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top cards of your library. You may play that card, the top one card of your library. You may play that one card this turn. So cast is a spell, play includes lands, so that's kind of nice. It really should probably say whenever another goblin or orc, because he himself is double strike, so if he gets through once, that's 2 triggers. But it's modern and commander. I don't think this is going to be the, end of the world here. Next up, the Horn of Gondor, or as they call it in the Lord of the Rings universe, the Big Honk. It's a 3-cost legendary artifact. Oh my gosh, they don't put legendary on anything. I am shocked. And when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And of course, he's obviously a supporter of 2A and the 69th Amendment, which is the right to honk. By the way, Horn of Blasting is the greatest item in all of D&D. So if you pay 3 and tap it, create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of humans you control. Holy actual crap. I mean, we've got Adeline, and this is a card it's like if you're already getting burned by control, you're going to do absolutely nothing. This is too slow to be a rebuilder, and then on the other side, it's like, well, if you were going to win anyway because you got 15 humans in play, then win even more, what is the point? Now, if it said they had indestructible till end of turn, now you've got an anti-board wipe. But still, I think anybody with human tribal, you'd have to be insane to not run this. It is so good. Next up, Morgul Knife Wound. It's a 2-cost black aura enchantment. It's a common enchant creature. They get -3 attack, -0, and they have at the beginning of upkeep, exile this creature unless you pay 2 life. Obviously very good in Commander, but I just wanted to point out that this is kind of like Stab Wound, but not quite as good. Stab Wound is -2, and at the beginning of the upkeep of the enchanted creature's controller, that player loses 2 life. The end. If they want it gone, they gotta send it in combat and hope I kill it, which I will not, or kill it themselves. I love Stab Wound, it's so evil, but it is 3. I actually don't remember it being 3, but that makes sense. It is an unbelievably powerful card. Oh, and that's supposed to be Frodo in the artwork. Spoiler alert, he's not very consistent. So, Display of Power is next. We got 2 red instant rare. The spell can't be copied. There's your red flag that this is so unbelievably powerful they had to add that. Copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells. You may choose new targets for the copies. Well, when they say spells, they have to already be on the stack. So, and then this costs 3 mana, just saying. Next up, Bill Fernie, Bree Swindler. I've got a lot of questions right off the bat. Why is he scamming Brie Larson? And why is Wang on a card? I thought he was just a YouTuber. I didn't know he was also in Lord of the Rings. So anyway, it's a 2/1 for 2, legendary creature, human rogue in blue, and when he becomes blocked, choose 1, create a treasure token, or target opponent gains control of target horse you control. If they do, remove Bill Fernie from combat and create 3 treasure tokens. Oh, the old switcheroo. They caught you stealing something from them, and so you offered them a horse. And then apparently rolled a 20 on your persuasion check. Next up, Born Upon a Wind. It's a 2-cost blue instant, and you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. I mean, that kind of is a whenever. I already read this card, actually. And then draw a card, which is kind of nice. I mean, it's still roundabout. You're burning 2 cards to just cast something off turn. That better be like a really good sorcery, but it also includes creatures, so that's kind of big. You could ambush somebody pretty hard with this, or get like a trigger rolling, or have something that swings for a massive amount, like flash in on the end of their turn. But now you're paying 2 for it, and you have to have this in hand, so I just don't see this being very popular. Next up, I gotta mention that sometime really soon, we should have this footage filmed. I have been challenged by a long time viewer whose podcast I was on a long time ago to build, let me just read the quote. We can build the dumbest semblance of a functional deck and then verse each other with it. No, wait a minute. That was me saying that. He said, how much of a meme should this be? Like 11 out of 10 or over 9,000? So we're going to have the worst/best game of Historic ever recorded while taking it about as seriously as the average 8-year-old. Oh wait, 8-year-olds are like really competitive and get mad when they lose. Okay, the average bunch of geeky middle-aged folks. So I'm yet to build this nightmare, but it should be interesting. Watch for that probably this weekend. So next up we got Lotho Corrupt Sheriff. Not Sheriff, Sheriff. It looks like I'm trying to speak like meme cat ease. Well, mister, they totally didn't just typo the word sheriff here. Is 1 black, 1 white, 2/1 legendary creature halfling rogue. And when a player casts their second spell each turn, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token. I don't know how good that really is, but it's interesting. So next up, this allegedly translates to The Ring Goes South. Not sure if that's what it'll be called in English, but it's a nice enough name, I guess. It's a 4-cost green sorcery, and the ring tempts you, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X lands, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Put the lands onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Now in an average deck, like a normal deck, you'd have about 1/3 lands, so I don't think this will hit too many no matter how high X is. But in a landfall deck, you play this late enough, oh baby. So next up, Press the Enemy. It's a 4-cost double blue instant, return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. And I'm really not sure what that artist credit says, but I think it's Yelena Relina, who just happens to be a white woman. I'm so glad they're continuing to hire so many black artists to draw black characters that aren't even black. There are so many layers to that one, and the last layer on top of everything is you boycotting them. Please do. There's one thing I really won't give my money to, and it's racist idiots pretending to not be racist. Next up, Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, and I don't know, some fantasy place. I don't even remember who Faramir is. So it's 4-cost blue, white, 3/3 legendary creature, human noble, and at the beginning of your end step, choose an opponent. At the beginning of that player's next end step, you draw a card if they didn't attack you that turn. Otherwise, create 3/1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. I guess it's situational, but I can't really figure out if this would make people want to attack you or not. I don't know, you gain a benefit each way, so this is actually like a really decent card. Next up, Theoden, King of Rohan. Yep, looks just like him. And by him, I mean Tezzeret. So it's a red-white 2/3 legendary creature, human noble, and when he or another human enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains double strike till end of turn. So they took like literally the single whitest person in all of Lord of the Rings, slapped a coat of paint on him so that they don't seem racist. Oh, pardon me, they had a white guy named Kieran Yanner do it, because remember, they do not hire or contract black artists. And then wrote on the bottom of the card, "Dark have been my dreams as of late, but I feel new awakened." Seriously, I legitimately look at myself in the mirror and think I'm a different person. Okay, that's not the end of the quote, but that would have been funny. I think they're shoving this in people's faces a little hard. Next up, we've got the Palantir of Othanc, or as I like to call it, the Big Ol' Ball. It's kind of like the Big Ol' Horn, but a little bit more powerful. So we got a 3-cost legendary artifact, colorless. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on Palantir of Othanc, or Othanc, I don't know, Big Ol' Ball, and scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on this card, and that player loses life equal to the total mana value of those cards. Holy crap. Yeah, you're just outdrawing them 2-1 for the entire rest of the game. I think Commander players are actually kind of going to hate this. It seems a little too good for being in every color, you know what I mean? This should probably just be blue. Next up, Arwen Sterdbleisch Konigzag, I don't know. Let's go with Mortal Queen. She's a 3-cost green-white legendary creature, elf noble. 2/2, and when she comes into play, she comes in with an indestructible counter, and if you pay 1 to remove an indestructible counter from her, another target creature gets indestructible until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter and lifelink counter on that creature, and a +1/+1 counter and lifelink counter on Arwen. Alright, little one and done. This is kind of weak for a mythic, but hey, I'll take it. Next up, Radagast the Brown. Oh, I'm sorry, Watsy. Would that be a little too on the head if you made him black? So it's a 4 cost, green 2/5 legendary creature avatar wizard. Once again, they are not avatars. That is their actual form anyway. When here, another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's mana value. You may reveal a creature that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. I thought for sure they're going free cast, so this is actually like a lot more reasonable. This is just like refill, let's go. Next up, Flowering of the White Tree. Yes, we've all completed this quest in Skyrim. It's a 2 white, and that's it. Legendary enchantment. I'm a little surprised that they didn't make the white tree black. Seems to be some tokenization fetish with those freaks. And by freaks, I mean hypocrites. So it's a legendary enchantment, and legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1. That is insanely powerful. And non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. Ooh, that ain't bad. Next up, Isildur's Fateful Strike. It's a 4 cost double black legendary instant. You may cast a legendary instant only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker, which usually means these are pretty overpowered, especially for 4. I recall this not being that great. I read some of these. So, destroy target creature, okay? If its controller has more than 4 cards in hand, they exile cards from their hand equal to the difference. So they exile 2/4. I mean, like in a standard game, by the time you got 4, they don't have 4 cards in hand. And if they do, they're probably playing control, they'll just counter it. Yeah, they cut his hand off, ring with it, and yeah, ain't that a bee? Too bad. Should've worn gloves. And if you're about to say the Necromancer classes can't wear gloves in any single game, specifically armored gloves, look at that hat. This guy don't care. You tell me that hat doesn't cause encumbrance. Come on. Next up, Phial of Galadriel, which is really not what it's called. It's not like I've never heard it called that, but it's actually the Light of Arendelle. Anyway, it's a 3 cost legendary artifact, and if you would draw a card while you have no cards in hand, draw 2 cards instead. Nice. If you would gain life while you have 5 or less life, you gain twice that much instead. Oh, this brings back memories to some older cards. And then you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color. Holy crap, this is going to be an auto-include in almost every commander deck. They honestly probably should have made it use white mana. So if you haven't seen The Hobbit, basically, Galadriel pulls this out, because Sauron shows up and they're like, we ain't having that. Because he's like, ha, full party wipe. And then she gets up like, ooh, second win, what's up? Knock, knock. And he's like, who's there? And she's like, get the f*** out of here. And he's like, oh no, I fell for it again. Ha, zoom. And that's why I always carry pepper spray as well. So next up, we've got Shelob, Child of Ungoliant. But she prefers Shelly. So it's a 6 cost green black 8/8 legendary creature, Spider Demon. It has Death Touch and Ward 2, and other spiders you control have Death Touch and Ward 2. Whenever another creature dealt damage this turn by a spider you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a food artifact with pay 2, tap it, sack this artifact, you gain 3 life, and it loses all other card types. It's kind of a waste of effort to make it a clone of whatever it used to be, but they're like, ooh, style though, and I just don't see it. But next up, it's Shagrat Lootbearer. He's a black-red 4/4 legendary creature, Orc Soldier, because remember, WotC, or at least the D&D division, said they think orcs are black people. So whenever Looty McBearer Hair attacks, attach up to 1 target equipment to it, then amass Orcs X, where X is the number of equipment attached to Shagrat. Oh my, the way they phrase that, and I wouldn't have caught this on first read, it could include your opponent's equipment. So then it reminds you, control of the equipment doesn't change. To amass Orcs X, put X/1/1 counters on an army you control. It's also an orc. If you don't control an army though, put a 0/0 black orc army creature token into play first. So that's kind of interesting. Next up, we've got Fear, Fire, Foes. Because they knew people hated this so much when they did the D&D set. So it's red plus X, sorcery, uncommon, damage can't be prevented this turn, and this card deals X damage to target creature with 1 damage to each other creature with the same controller. So kaboom and blast everybody else for 1 plus X. Not terrible. Next up, King of the Oathbreakers. It's a white plus black 4 cost 3/3 legendary creature, Spirit Noble with flying. Even though they can't fly in the movie, then when King of the Oathbreakers or another spirit you control becomes the target of a spell, it phases out. That's kind of nutty. And then when he or another spirit you control phases in, create a tapped 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Now that's a target of their spell, but nobody's that stupid. And then it's also a target of your spell, but then you're going to lose your spell. But if you have a multi-target that you, I guess, don't care about or something, but then you phase them all back in and you get a new army. I think the whole just they can't blow anything up unless it's an indirect target, that's the more powerful part of this. This is pretty good. Next up, Shadow of the Enemy. It's a 6-cost mythic black sorcery, triple black. Oh, this gonna be good. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You may cast spells from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast them. Awfully big words for a guy who just got banished. Ayo. Next up, we got artistically inconsistent Frodo, Determined Hero. This time, he's using white mana for some reason. Whatever. So, 2-cost, single white, 2/2 legendary creature, halfling warrior, and when Frodo, Determined Hero, enters the battlefield or attacks, you may attach target equipment you control with mana value 2 or 3 to Frodo. So not 1, not 4, not more. 2 or 3. As long as it's your turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to Frodo. Oh, that's just a free hit. That's a little OP. So yes, in the books and the movies, we remember Frodo was famous for being on the front lines, indestructible during his turn when you are on the attack. He is undefeatable in combat. That's why they chose him to bring the ring to Mordor. Not because he was unassuming and Sauron wouldn't pay attention to him. That's not why at all. Next up, Éomer, whoever this is, Marshal of Rohan. And of course, if you're a Marshal, you have to have a curly mustache. I don't make the rules. So it's a double red 4-cost 4/4 legendary creature human knight with haste, and whenever one or more other attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, my least favorite mechanic recently in the game. And this ability triggers only once each turn, otherwise it would be unbelievably broken. Next up, Forge Anew. It's a 3-cost enchantment. That's weird. And when Forge Anew enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you can cast an instant, and you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost for the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. I believe this was previously spoiled, but I wanted to feature it again because this is pretty much the most unbelievably broken card in the entire set. Once again, there are equip costs that are completely insane. I mean, there's ones that cost like 10, and this is just not 0. Utterly ridiculous and a gigantic mistake. Just like this whole set. So thanks for watching. I'm sure there will be more spoilers, and I'll see you guys next time.